Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Vampires. Yes, it's been a while since we swam through vampire waters, and I was going to say this is a new Vampire the Masquerade video, but let's extend it. Let's make it Vampire the Requiem as well. Why am I making this video? Well, frequent flyer on this channel, Michael, who has more than once headed over to PayPal and decided to send me a little bit of money, but I'm very grateful, doesn't matter how much or how little, to ask for a video. And Michael sent me this request to make a video on which clan I most strongly identify with. Now, before I get into this, I'm going to say to you, Michael, as I said in text, but to anyone watching here, that yes, I am incredibly grateful when people send me money to create a video on a subject of their choosing. That is largely when you see most of the content on this channel, it's content that I'm coming up with. And I don't tend to do like deep dives. I haven't done the guide to the traditions for Mage because no one has paid for me to do it, and it takes quite a lot of research to do it in a way that is, I guess, interesting and accurate to the lore, and I don't want to just make stuff up on the spot. Curseborn is obviously where I'm doing most of my guide tos right now, but that's not to say that I can't do things like Mage the Ascension. The fact of the matter is, if people want to see those videos, I need to spend time, which means I also need to make up for that time with a bit of money. So you can send me some money through PayPal, or you can pick up books that I have developed, namely The World Below, They Came from the RPG Anthology, or Curseborn. The World Below is the big one there. That's the one I really want you supporting. And they'll all be linked below. Contact me through MatthewDawkins.com after you pick up a copy and request a video of your choosing, and I will more than happily make a video as long as the subject matter isn't utterly ludicrous. And the reason I say this is because, yes, I love it when people pay me directly. I love it when people join my Patreon to ask me to make videos. That you are perfectly entitled to do that. But more than anything else, I love it when people get a game out of it. It's one thing to send me money and just get a video, but you could buy a game and request a video. That is equally, if not more, desirable, because the more of the games you buy that I've worked on, the more games I get to work on in the long term. But, you know, I'll accept anything. I'm pretty cheap that way. So, on to the subject matter. Thank you very much, Michael. Which clan do I most strongly identify with? Vampire clan, it should be noted. Now, I did ask you, Michael, whether this was specifically tied to my Gentleman's Guide to Vampires, as in, was I portraying a specific clan, or whether you mean me personally. But let's talk about the first thing first. Back when I started the Gentleman's Guide to Vampires, way back when, well over maybe 15 years ago, good lord, I made a video starting with the Gentleman's Guide to Clan Ravnos, and that video wasn't me in character. I started off talking about how to essentially rehabilitate clans, how to make clans that aren't popular, how to get fun out of your vampire clans. Now, I've not watched these videos ever. Once I get to the end of the 15 minutes or so of my recording, back then, that was just boom, upload. And then fire and forget. I'd respond to comments, but I never rewatched them because I don't edit these videos, of course. I would generally not. You know, sometimes I put funny sound effects and things like that. But back then, I would do, let's say, 11 minutes of recording, and if I flubbed a line, if I made something not make sense, I say flubbed a line, they weren't scripted, but if I started trailing off and lost my train of thought, I'd just cut, delete, start again. I didn't like, and I still don't like, videos that are chopped together, made up of lots of different segments. I find that really jarring for me to engage with. I like long, continuous streams, which is why all of my videos are one unbroken take as a general rule. Anyway, so I did this Gentleman's Guide to Ravnos, I did some more clan videos, and slowly but surely, as I did the clan videos, I started speaking about the other vampire clans as if I was a vampire, as if I was talking as if I was in the world of darkness. And then, maybe around the time I started doing videos on the Bloodlines, I started wearing a Harbinger of Skulls clan pin. And so people in the comments started speculating, saying, "Oh, you're playing a Harbinger of Skulls. Which Harbinger of Skulls are you playing?" And so on and so forth. And I never confirmed it. I never said, "I'm Roger de Camden." And I still haven't. Even though when I started doing the Gentleman's Guide to Vampires for the White Wolf YouTube channel, I think it's now the World of Darkness YouTube channel, the ones in the run-up to V5's release, I was still playing a guy with a Harbinger of Skulls clan pin, and I even spoke very poetically, very complimentary about Mithras, so again it embedded in people's minds that I was Roger de Camden. I think also some of the art in Beckett's Jihad Diary, unbeknownst to me, got modelled on me for Roger de Camden. So it was never my intention to specifically play Roger de Camden, though it very much has worked out that way. Doesn't mean that I identify with the Harbingers of Skulls, no, because I think the Harbingers of Skulls as a bloodline concept is a pretty limiting one to identify with. Doesn't mean I more broadly identify with Clan Cappadocian. Well, that character, it made sense to be a Cappadocian because I like the idea of an eternal, undead, dusty scholar. Someone who is old, someone who's just woken up, someone who really knows the pasts of these clans. So, yeah, that character was a Harbinger of Skulls and may well have been Roger de Camden. But do I personally identify with the Cappadocians? I don't know that I personally identify with any one clan. I think there was a period in my life where I did. Certainly, I remember being asked at one point by someone who worked at White Wolf at the time, this was several years back, "Which clan do you identify with?" "I identify with the Ravnos." No, he said, "I identify with the Lasombra. I love the way they wield the shadows, and they can strike with might with no pussyfooting around." And words to that effect. And I was sitting there thinking, yeah, really? Okay, that's nice. And he said, "So which clan are you?" And by this point, I had left the realm of ever wanting to identify with a vampire clan. Because I thought, oh, right, so you're really taking the worst of this clan concept to identify yourself as a La Sombra, cementing in my mind why I'd really dislike them. And I said, oh, probably the Cappadocians. I like the idea of being the whisperer, the power behind the throne. I love the idea of the age, the venerability, the mysticism, that they aren't exactly what they seem. I love the doomed nature of the Cappadocians, the fact that we as a species are doomed and the Cappadocians as a clan are doomed. I love the idea that they are, in a sense, apolitical. In the Dark Ages, they could shift to any clan's side if they felt it would get them more knowledge. And at the time, I was very, very into accumulating all kinds of trivia, lore, mythos, things that I could fill my brain with. So there was a time that I was quite content to be creepy and quiet and power behind the throne-like and identify with the Cappadocians, but even then, I've never been interested in studying the dead or figuring out what happens to you after you die, so I don't know. Aesthetically, I suppose I could identify with the Cappadocians back then. But these days, I suppose the way I dress, the way I conduct myself, I can see why a lot of people say, oh, this guy's a Ventru, and it isn't just because he's got a British accent. I don't know that I ever identified as a Ventru. Interestingly, when I was a lot younger, in my early 20s and late teens, I would identify as a follower of Set. I'd walk around the city, wherever I was at the time, with a follower of Set clan pin on my jacket, in the hope that other people might identify me in that Volkswagen bus kind of way. Oh, look, here, no, we got this. I know that thing you've got on you. And the reason I identified as a follower of Set was, one, because I was often... Here's a bit of a peek behind the curtain. I was often pretty toxic and fairly proud of it. I mean, I don't think I was. I mean, I was emotionally immature. Absolutely, most people are in their late teens and early 20s, and I was very proud of myself. I think because I was. I guess I was popular for the first time in my life, especially with women. And I was also very good at manipulating people and generally a bit of a social chameleon at the same time. And I don't say all of this with pride at this point. I know that in my early 20s I was a dickhead. I said, I definitely did things that I'm not proud of now. I'm sure most people go through an extended phase where they are a colossal asshole that they wouldn't want to socialize with now. That was me in my follower of Set phase. And there was also the anti-theist side of it. Now, I know this may not sound like a follower of Set, but in my early 20s, I'm still an atheist today. I don't think that's ever going to change. I mean, most atheists say that, I'm sure. But these days, I actually have respect for people who are religious. Back then, whether it was because I was trying to be edgy or provocative, I was firmly in the camp of anti-theism and trying to free people from the grasp of organized religion and the ignorance that went with it, all of that stuff. And so that tied in closely to how I saw the followers of Set trying to pull people free from the clutches of Methuselahs and false gods and so on. So I had a mix of that side, that spiritual or anti-spiritual side, going with this whole almost corrupt. I wasn't going around actually going, I'm going to corrupt you. More that I was probably making a lot of people's lives worse for my being there. And again, I can say that with some honesty because I completely admit that when I was younger, I was a twat. There's lots of things to mitigate that. I'm sure there's lots of reasons as well that I became that way, but luckily I grew out of it. I'm sure in 20 years I'll look back at myself now and think, God, why was he such an arsehole? And that's just the way life goes. So, do I identify as a clan now, or which clan do I identify as being closest to me? This is a longer video than I thought it would be. I would say now, no. There is no clan that I identify as. This doesn't make me caitiff or a thin blood. And it isn't just because I'm a little more divorced from the Vampire the Masquerade or Vampire the Requiem fan base now and the lore and not writing on it, because I wasn't writing on it then. It's more that I feel I've grown to the degree that it would be very difficult for me to pigeonhole myself in the form of an archetype. I see too many flaws in each of the clans now to be able to look at them and say, yep, that's me. And likewise, I focus too much on maybe their powers as well to say, yep, that's me. They have strengths and weaknesses that are not representative of me. And while there are things I'm interested in that the Bruja are interested in, or Bruja, what the Toreador are interested in, and that suits me as well. The Cappadocians as well, and to a degree the Ministry. But in the end, none of them are really me. And I think what that means is I'm a Tremere. No, I'm not. I think the idea of still being a scholar, a creative, a writer means that I am closest in theme to a Toreador now. I can certainly appreciate art a lot more than I could when I was younger. But I also take a lot of enjoyment out of it. I'm not as vapid as a Toreador, so I would lean more towards a Deva in Requiem than a Toreador in Masquerade, I think. Yeah, okay, we'll say that. I am Clan Deva. I even look like Solomon Birch in the Vampire the Requiem first edition core book, now that I'm bald. So, my question to you, now that I have assigned myself Clan Deva, I want you to tell me which clan you identify with. But don't just say, I'm a Ventrue, lol. Say, people will comment now, I'm a Ventrue, lol. I want you to tell me why you identify with the clan you identify with. What is it? What strengths and weaknesses does that clan have that you share? What is it about that archetype and the stereotypes that go with it that you either enjoy or detest about yourself? Come clean. Tell me about yourself. Which clan are you and why? I'm dying to find out. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.